Getting a good mark in psychology honours is key to your first step in becoming a clinical psychologist. The requirement for a psychology master's degree is typically an upper second class honours or first class honours. And the higher your mark is, the more competitive your application may be seen. So in this video, I'll be sharing you my top 5 tips that helped me get my first class honours in psychology. And if you're not interested in becoming a clinical psychologist or anything like that, that's okay, because these tips will still help you achieve first class honours. So for context, I did my psychology honours at UNSW, where for the honours mark, 37.5% of it came from coursework and 62.5% came from your thesis. So in terms of coursework, this involved 4 different subjects, 2 of them being electives, so we got to choose from a range of subjects, and then 2 of them being core courses. So the core courses covered topics from ethics to the history of psychology, as well as covering 3 main fields of psychology, which were clinical, forensic, and organizational psychology. And then in terms of our thesis, this involved writing a 15,000 word thesis, which was due right at the end of the year. And it was done under guidance from a supervisor who was an expert in the field of psychology, and they helped guide you run your experiment as well as write your thesis. So my first tip is to have a good student-supervisor relationship. So your honours supervisor is going to be one of your biggest supports throughout the year. They are there to help you grow, guide you throughout the honours year, and they have years of expertise. So lean in on that, lean in on the resources they provide you. Ask for help when you need. They ultimately are there to help you do your best in your honours year, and I'm sure they also want their students to perform well. I was really fortunate enough to have an organised and supportive supervisor, and in our very first meeting, we kind of laid down the expectations we had of each other and also shared our goals for the year. My goals are that you work hard but have fun. Research can be stressful, especially in honours, and dreary at times. It is the ideas and figuring out how to test these ideas, seeing the data, that is exciting. I also want you to learn about science, psychology, research process, yourselves and others. Main goal is to learn generic skills, critical analysis, writing, presenting, etc. Another important goal is that we must make sure that we communicate with one another throughout the year. We must do this in order for things to work effectively. I will give you my opinion on things, but you don't have to agree. But hopefully you will at least consider what I'm saying. Sometimes I might say something you don't like, and I probably won't like saying it. We can discuss though, and maybe you can show how I'm wrong. My goal is always to help, so you need to give me your opinions as well. On that note, I think it's really important to have consistent meetings with your supervisor. That's so that they can keep track of your progress, you can be accountable for it as well, and if you need any help or advice, they are always there to help you. They're always there to help you set deadlines as well. For me, I had weekly meetings with my supervisor, and I would create an agenda, so a list of things that I wanted to go through in that meeting before the meeting actually occurred, so that I knew what I wanted covered, and then in that meeting I would just present those stuff to my supervisor and we'll just go through them one by one. This could range from how I could improve the flow of a certain paragraph, or even what sort of statistical analysis I should be using. Number 2, start writing early. Writing is hard and takes a long time, so I can't emphasize enough to start writing your thesis as early as you can. Your first draft will be shit, and that's okay. Mine was too. But I received lots of constructive criticism from my supervisor on it, and I was able to use that feedback to improve upon my thesis. You will go through so many different drafts of your thesis before you actually reach the final product, and the more time you have to revise and to rewrite things, the better. Sometimes you can also fall into the trap of just doing so much research and not starting to write because you want to complete all that research, but you just need to start putting words on that page and keep researching as you write. For me, I finished writing my thesis around a month before the submission deadline, and in that last month I was just revising my thesis, making edits here and there. You definitely don't want to be writing parts of your thesis a month or 2 before it's due. That's just unnecessary stress and pressure you put on yourself that you can prevent by starting to write your thesis earlier on in the year. Number 3, manage your time wisely. If you think a certain task is going to take 2 hours, I would say give it 4 hours. Things take longer than expected, whether that may be researching, writing, or even practicing for a presentation. Honours isn't that long, it's only for 10 months, at least that's how it was for me. Even though time may seem to go really slowly at the start, it goes so fast at the end, especially the month before thesis submission. Additionally, I know some of you may be working or volunteering on the side, especially to get more experience for your masters, but I think it's important to know what your priorities are for that year. Typically, this should be your honours work, your thesis and coursework, because at the end of the day, it is your honours mark what makes you eligible for a master's degree. It's also important to factor in some time for breaks and rests. Reading, writing, and studying 24/7 is definitely not possible. Your body needs rest, both physically and mentally. So definitely schedule in some time for yourself, some time for exercise, making sure you're getting enough sleep and eating properly. It is a very stressful year and you do need to take care of yourself. Number 4, read widely. When you're doing your research or literature review, I think it's important to read articles from a range of different researchers, especially if you're like me and you did an animal or a rat experiment. See if you can find some articles in that same topic in humans and see how you can draw the links between those two populations. I think this is really important, especially when you are writing your discussion and you're thinking of new ideas for future research. You want to see how you can draw in different concepts from different areas of research, and I think this shows to the marker that you have a really good understanding of the field and you are an expert in this topic. Number 5, don't compare yourself to others. I know this is really hard in our society these days as we're always comparing ourselves to everyone. And, especially in your honours year, I know how competitive the cohort can be, especially for those who want to get into the master's program immediately after their honours year. Everyone is on a different timeline. Even, with running your experiments, some people will finish before or after you. Writing your first draft, some people will finish before or after you. And that's okay. Everyone works at different paces. Eventually, you'll all reach the same deadline, which is thesis submission. Focus on yourself during the honours year. Do what you think is best for yourself, work at your own pace, and eventually everything will work out. Those are all the tips for today. Good luck to everyone who will be completing their honours year in the future. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video.